So we have some new polling numbers, and I must say that the election campaign season is very close, and I think it'll happen probably within the next week, where we see the start of this campaign because we have a lot of new polls coming. It's like coming at us in a blitz fashion, and so 338 Canada, which only updates their polls on Sundays, did actually update their poll today on the 18th, which is a Tuesday. So it's weird that they did that, but it makes sense why, because we are in an extraordinary situation right now, which is unbelievable. This is unfathomable. So I'll start off with this. This is 338 Canada's projection. I have a bunch of other ones to show you guys, by the way. This video will be a polls only video. So if you want to see all the polls, all the numbers, this is the video to watch. I'll start off with this really quickly. So the popular vote, according to 338 Canada and their aggregate model, it is now officially tied in terms of the popular vote. It is now officially tied. It's 38 to 38, which is the first time this has happened ever. Even under Justin Trudeau, when he won in 2021, he was not winning, or he didn't even win the popular vote, as a matter of fact. So this is a huge reversal from what we've seen in the last 3 years, 4 years, even 5 years. I mean, it's been ridiculous, the shift that we've seen. And then when we look at the seat count, which is obviously what really matters in Canadian politics, for the first time in ever actually, the Liberals are projected to win a majority ever since the Justin Trudeau era. You know, when he won in 2019, he never was projected to win a majority. When he won in 2021, he was never projected to win a majority. This is the first time in 10 years that they've been projected to win a majority. And even then, by the way, in 2015, he wasn't projected to win a majority according to many sources. So this is shocking. This is really shocking. And one thing I can say with full confidence is that these poll numbers are not lying. These poll numbers are not lying. So when I say that, you know, it's 177, this is like sort of on the lower end, and I'll show you guys why I mean that. But I just want to go back here, and this is huge. This is huge. 338 Canada has the odds of winning the most seats, and based on their latest odds, the Liberals are projected to win the seats. They have an 85% chance of winning the most seats. The Conservatives only have a 15% chance of forming government, essentially. They're, you know, as the young people would say, they're cooked. I mean, they're screwed. This is unprecedented. This is unprecedented. And if you take a look at this, the odds of outcome, at least recently, we haven't seen much of a change, or prior to this, we didn't see much of a change with this. So it's like 99% chance that the Conservatives would win a majority. 99% chance. I'm not making that up. And you look at it now, it's 55% chance of a Liberal majority. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Liberal plurality is 30%. Plurality. I don't know why I said it like that. Conservatives winning the most seats but not winning a majority is 14%. So they are only at a 15% chance of winning the most seats, obviously. But it's crazy. It's crazy. And if you take a look at this, really nothing the Conservatives can do to form a coalition to try to break down this government, because once you're in majority territory, it's done. It's done. You can't do anything if you're the opposition at that point. You really can't. And it's insane. It's insane. If you take a look at this too, this is crazy. I look at this and I'm like, what? How did this happen? It feels like this is like a movie that we're living in. This does not feel real. I covered this. So on January 5th, the day before Justin Trudeau resigned, this is basically the lowest he was at. I mean, this is as bad as it got for them. And this is according to 330 Canada, which is typically a bit more, you know, not as aggressive with their predictions. Some people were saying they're at 13%. Some people were saying they're at 27%. They said, okay, no, it's 20%. It was 45 to 20%. And you take a look at this shift. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. They went from 45, and they started going down. They dropped below 40, and now for the first time, I think we can look back all the way to 2021 to 2025. The last time the Liberals were leading was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, when Aaron O'Toole lost the election. Basically, that was the last time. It's unbelievable. This is after the 2021 election, by the way. I want to note that. So last time they were actually tied prior to this was about September of 2022. And then Pierre Poilievre, that was like right after Pierre Poilievre got elected. And then beyond that, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives pretty much dominated in every poll. You had this peak period from, you know, early 2024, around here, all the way to late 2024, all of 2024, the Conservatives were killing it. And then you had Mark Carney come in, you had Justin Trudeau resign, you had Mark Carney being speculated to be the leader, I should say, and then he actually came in as a leader last week, or 2 weeks ago almost. He becomes prime minister, and you finally see for the first time in almost 3 years technically that the Liberals are actually tied with the Conservatives in the polls. It's unbelievable. This is a historical moment that we're living through. We're living through history right now. And I'm pretty confident to say that because this is quite historical. I mean, this is unbelievable. If you take a look at this, this is even more interesting. This is the highest amount of seats the Liberals have ever been at since the Justin Trudeau 2015 days. So even in 2021, if you take a look, they still weren't even at a majority. They weren't projected to win a majority at any point. They were still at 170, which was below majority because it still was the 172. So they were basically screwed. Like from that point on, they were screwed. From this point, where was it, 2022, they were sort of losing a lot of support. And then you take a look at what happened in 2024, they were at a low of, what was it? Going back to this, 35 seats. 35 seats. Could you imagine if they won 35 seats? Like they went from 35 seats projected to 177 within the span of 3 months, just like that. And I don't say that because, it's fake polls or anything. This is real. These are real numbers. These are real people. And I'll show you the sample sizes in a second because a lot of people were saying, oh, you don't understand statistics and this and that. I know what statistics are. I know how it works. There's a lot of biases that are built into statistics most of the time. But in this case, I could say with confidence, based on the sample sizes and based on the numbers I've seen, this was what we were being told for about a year. And nobody batted an eye towards this. Nobody batted an eye towards this. This is the narrative. I never questioned the polls either, by the way. I never questioned the polls, whether it was leading for the Conservatives or the Liberals. I mean, these are people who are very intelligent, who dedicate their lives to gathering data and ultimately presenting it. These are very intelligent people. And I didn't bat an eye. Nobody batted an eye when for 2 years almost, they were leading and destroying the Liberals. I mean, they were destroying them. The Liberals were at less than 1% chance of winning for almost 2 years. Almost 2 years. And then you see them finally start to shift. And now people are saying, oh, fake polls, fake polls. They're not fake polls. Now moving on to this. Even this. Nobody batted an eye. They were like, no, Conservatives will win a majority. And I still see people today who are like, yeah, we're going to go to the election and the Conservatives are going to win 230 plus seats. I'm thinking to myself, what are you talking about? I mean, there's not a single poll that has corroborated that. And one thing people need to realize, I hate this argument when people make it. They're like, Kamala Harris, when she came in, she was leading as well in the polls. That doesn't mean anything. That does not mean anything at all. First of all, I'll break this down really quickly, then I'm going to move on to another poll. First of all, Kamala Harris was not leading by that much. The Liberal Party right now is leading by a lot more against the Conservatives than Kamala Harris ever was against Trump. That's number one. Number two, we're not Americans. We're not American politics. We don't have an electoral college system. We have a parliamentary system. It's very different. Popular vote does not really matter here. Same as the United States, but it's a lot more helpful in the United States in most cases, especially for a Republican to win the popular vote. Here, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares about the popular vote. It's just the amount of seats you win. I also want to note, in 2021 and in 2019, the Liberals did actually lose the popular vote by, I think, 2 or 3%. So that's another ridiculous argument. The third thing is, again, you could talk about these numbers, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. This artificial bump that these people are talking about, it's not artificial. The fact of the matter is, whether you like Carney or not, there is a serious base that is rallying around Carney, or that has rallied around Carney ever since he announced his leadership bid and then eventually became the leader and prime minister. There's a serious base. And I know a lot of people say, I spoke to people and they're all voting conservative. That's fine. But you haven't spoken to 40 million other people who are living in this country. So it's a very, I know it's a very contentious point of argument, and I know a lot of people get angry about it. But I think it's important to know these are real numbers. These are real numbers. And even Real Albanian Pat acknowledges this. So Real Albanian Pat, again, this guy's a great guy. We should probably do a collab one day. I don't know if he does YouTube. I don't think he does. But he has this wonderful platform that he uses. It's called X. And what he does is basically he just does these aggregate numbers, and he puts it onto the map. So if you take a look at his map, this is according to the latest Ledger poll. And just, again, for reference, Real Albanian Pat is a conservative. He's a conservative. I saw some of his posts. He was like, yeah, we're in the 5 stages of grief after the conservatives are starting to lose their lead. And like, that's not me making this up. This is his numbers, his words. And ultimately, I try to explore as many perspectives as possible. Just really quickly, this is his website, by the way. And he is, you know, if you take a look at his website, this is updated on Friday, I want to say, last Friday. So it is slightly outdated. He even admits that the Liberals are going to win. Albeit it's a minority, but still, it's still a victory nonetheless. So it's worth noting that as well. And then I just want to go to CBC really quickly. CBC also has this poll tracker. And the Liberals are at about 36%. CBC has been, you know, pretty accurate with their polls as well. Conservatives at 38. But when you put it on the map, and you put it in terms of seats, the Liberals still end up winning minority. The Liberals end up winning minority. So what they were saying yesterday was, I was watching Eric Grenier on CBC, and he basically said, in order for the Conservatives to win, just a minority, they would need a 5-point lead on election day in terms of the popular vote. They would need a 5-point lead on election day to win a minority. For the Liberals to win, they would need to be within 2 to 3 points on election day to win a minority. And then if they were to win a majority, they would have to be at least tied in the polls. And we're seeing them lead in the polls. So that's why you see this number, this 196 to 126. You're probably like, oh my God, what's going on? It's because you take a look at this poll, it's 42 to 39. So it makes sense why it's such a big majority. I do want to note again, if you take a look at the last week poll, it was according to this one, it's 37 to 37. Yeah, it was 37. I remember covering this one. Even then, when it was 37 to 37, the Liberals were still projected to win a majority. So Eric Grenier knows what he's talking about. He is correct about that. It's been proven in countless Canadian elections. And so it is accurate. This is the truth. And 196 seats, personally, I'll be very honest with you. I'll be very blunt. I don't think it'll reach 196 seats. With that being said, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you woke up the next morning, or if you were on election and you were watching it and you saw, oh my God, they won 196 seats. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. And I definitely, these are extraordinary times, man. These are extraordinary times. You can't be shocked by anything. Also, based on this model, NDP gets wiped out. Now, 1 seat, I don't know if I completely agree with that. I think the NDP will win a bit more than 1 seat, considering the fact that they're, you know, the Union Party. I think they'll win a bit more than 1 seat, maybe 5 or 4. But then again, you know, even if they take 4 or 5 away from the Liberals, it doesn't matter. They still get a majority, which, by the way, I don't think it'll be 196 seats. I think I'll make a prediction soon on my channel, another prediction video, and then we'll talk about that later on. But then we have another one. This is Angus Reed. And Angus Reed made another poll as well. So Angus Reed does polling all the time, and this is March 16th, or March 13th to 16th. This is recently. Theirs also has the Liberals at 42 to 37. And keep in mind, you may be wondering, why is the seat count different then? It's because they poll by region, by riding. So that's why. It's different. All these pollsters, they poll by riding, and then they combine it, and they do whatever mathematical stuff they have to do. I'm not too good at the mathematical aspects of polling. I just look at the numbers and I try to analyze them. But if you take a look, it's 197 seats for the Liberals. Again, this does corroborate our theory, or Eric Grenier's theory, that if the Liberals have a lead on election day or tied on election day, they're nearly guaranteed to win a majority. It's 197 to 115. And so, yeah, this is insane, man. This is insane. Like, we're living in extraordinary times. And you take a look at the map. Look at the GTA. Look how much red we have in the GTA. Look at the red. I mean, I live in the GTA. It's ridiculous how much red I'm actually seeing on this map. I think this is more than Trudeau 2015. This has to be way more than Trudeau 2015. And I do think, by the way, I will be making another prediction video. I think last time I said Liberals were at 167. I think that was my prediction. And that was about 2 weeks ago. And so a lot has changed since then, obviously. But, you know, it'll definitely change by a bit in my next prediction video. Take a look at this, guys. Angus Reed, if you want to see the numbers visualized, they had the the Liberals at 16% at one point, December 24 of 2024. December 2024, the Liberals were at 16%. The Conservatives were at 45%. I mean, this is unprecedented. I don't think this has ever happened in history. Like, genuinely, in democratic history, we could probably look back through thousands of elections. And I think in democratic history, this has to be one of the biggest comebacks ever. It's ridiculous. Just end off with this. I want to end off with this really quickly. So a lot of people, again, by the way, I'm going to mention the Dan Freeman thing in a second because I have to address that as well. But first I want to start off with this really quickly, right off with this. So these are the poll numbers on Wikipedia. You know, Wikipedia, I know a lot of people say that it's not an accurate source. It's fine. I mean, they give the numbers. So I'm just looking at the numbers. And these are the true numbers, by the way. We could look at Polymarket too in a second, but if you take a look at the last 5 polls that have been conducted, mind you though, Liaison did conduct 3 of them, but still, if you take a look at the last 5 polls that have been conducted, every single one of them, the Liberals have led. And Nanos, when they did their last poll, it was a 1.2 gap between the Conservatives and the Liberals. I'm sure when the next Nanos poll comes out, the Liberals will end up winning, or they'll be leading. And if you take a look, I mean, this is a crazy contrast, man. I think we can find, I mean, Nanos was saying 47 to 19 at one point. I'm trying to find the 13% one. Where was that? It was in December. I remember that. And that was ridiculous. I remember that. It was crazy. The fact, I mean, even Angus Reed, they said 45 to 16. Angus Reed said 45 to 16. They're now saying 42 to 37. Isn't that ridiculous? This is crazy, guys. This is crazy. So let's take a look at Polymarket really quickly. Just really quickly. I just want to look what's going on here. Yeah, Mark Carney is officially projected to be the favorite, or is the favorite to win the next election when the next election gets called. So the first time the betting markets finally have flipped. I say finally, not because I'm the biggest Mark Carney supporter. I'm just saying finally because it's been going on for a while. We've seen this trend. It was only a matter of time until he would flip it. For the first time, he's flipped it. So he's on a 51% chance of becoming the prime minister compared to 49%. So that's interesting. That's interesting indeed. I want to address this really quickly. So Dan Freeman's show, for those that don't know, I did challenge him to a debate, a very serious debate. Probably not that serious. It's going to be a lighthearted political debate. So I did make some call outs and I addressed some of my issues with some of the stuff that he talks about, because I feel like as content creators in this new media space, both of us, we're not journalists. I know he's not a journalist. I know I'm not a journalist. I don't have a journalism degree. But ultimately, we have a duty as people who are in the journalism sphere to try to not spread disinformation. So Dan Freeman, again, I hate to repeat it, but he was spreading disinformation. I was looking at his videos. I watched many of his videos. I used to watch him a bit before too. And I've seen this gradual shift where he just started talking about these ridiculous things. And I had to say something. So I challenged him to debate. I made a video about it. I commented. And he finally agreed. He agreed to the debate, guys. So Dan Freeman and I will be debating soon. We have to discuss specifics, when it's going to happen, all that kind of stuff. But stay tuned for that. That's going to be a very interesting one. So we have decent audiences. I mean, he has 7,200 subscribers. I have about 4,200. So it'll be a good debate. I think it'll be very fun. One thing I do want to ask you guys is, are there any questions or topics that you guys want in the debate? I might make a poll on that as well at some point, or like a post, so you guys can drop your comments further below. If you are still watching the video, please drop them in this comment section. Let me know what you guys want me to say, what you want us to talk about. And then in terms of the debate, we'll probably have a moderator as well. There's a guy in my comment section who said he wouldn't mind moderating. So we're going to try to reach out to him as well. I think you know who you are, my friend. I don't know what his name was. Sorry about that, his YouTube name. But I reached out to him. So hopefully we can get a moderator as well. We'll have a good debate. It'll be a good debate. And I think it'll be a very great opportunity to address certain points and clash in a very, respectful and calm manner. Because I think that's the biggest issue that we've had, is that nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to engage in dialogue. And myself and Dan Freeman, I really do commend him for accepting the challenge, because he's willing to talk. So thank you, Dan. I'm looking forward to it. And again, as usual, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one.